Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Entertainment Brick Show. Today, we are doing another LEGO Ideas video for LEGO Star Wars. We're doing a little more LEGO Star Wars action here. So, if you don't know, I made like 4 videos, I think, on LEGO level ideas for like a Mandalorian or like a Disney Plus video game, only highlighting the Star Wars, the Mandalorian section, basically where I did one level based off of every episode of The Mandalorian, and I did it in like 4 videos. I think I did like four episodes per video. Now we're moving on to the next Star Wars show, which is the Book of Boba Fett. Now I know this is not really a fan favorite television or Disney Plus series. Agreed. I'm not too crazy of a fan of this show either, but it's still a Disney Plus show, and I feel like it'd be fun to do levels off it, I feel like. If anything, it'd be fun to do levels off it, regardless if the show is bad. But I want to make some levels off it. There are 7 episodes in this series, so I'm thinking I'm going to do them all in one video. That's kind of what the thought is currently. I'm just going to blow through them all in one video, and this is that video. It's probably going to be like an hour-long video. It's going to be a long one, but I'm still excited to do it because I actually kind of enjoy some of these LEGO level idea videos, so with that being said, I want to kind of get right into this because, again, this is going to be a long video, so here we go. So starting off with level 1, before I get into level 1, I want to lay down the rules here. Rules are, basically, a while ago at this point, I made a LEGO Marvel Infinity Saga video game, basically, where I designed LEGO levels based off of the different phases of Marvel, and, Infinity War, and 6 levels based off of Endgame. And I basically made these levels, I highlighted the characters in these levels and the objectives in these levels, and I basically wrote them all out and shared them all in a video, like I'm doing now, and now I transferred it to LEGO Star Wars Disney Plus, that is, and now I'm doing the Book of Boba Fett, and that lands us here. Starting with level 1, Stranger in a Strange Land, which is also the title of Episode 1, so Episode 1 and Level 1 are the same thing here, and we're going to be going through the events of Episode 1, just turned into LEGO form, basically. If you could play it in a LEGO video game, what would it look like? So, every level has 3 parts to it. For instance, in this level, part 1 is the beginning scene of this episode where we see Boba Fett's armor get stolen. So, in this part of the level, you play as Boba Fett in like a prisoner outfit, which is kind of like the white robes that he kind of had on. You know, it's the Tamora Morrison like bald, head print there for the Lego figure. And then again, it's like those white robes that he had on, or whatever those were, those scratched up rags or whatever. And then the other character, considering LEGO has this rule of co-op character play, I have to include some other character to play as in this level, and that character is going to be the Rodian Prisoner, which I believe is how you pronounce that species name. But basically, if you don't remember, from the scene in the Book of Boba, the Tusken Raiders captured Boba. Boba was tied up to a stump in the ground, kind of, as well as this Rodian Prisoner, who was also tied up in a stump on the ground, and Boba was able to escape quickly, or briefly, and the objective in this level here is to escape the Tusken Raider camp. And basically, again, you're going to be playing as both Boba Fett in this prisoner outfit and this Rodian prisoner character. And you're going to be kind of sneaking through this Tusken Raider camp to kind of escape. So you're going to get into a few confrontations with a few Tuskens just to have some action sequences in this part of the level. But mostly, you'll be doing some puzzles to try and make your way past some of these Tusken Raider characters. Maybe they're going to be kind of looking out and looking to see where you are. And if you have to kind of distract them somehow and then run past and then, solve some other puzzle to do that. And that's basically what part 1 is going to look like. Part 2, on the other hand, is the Order of the Night Wind kind of scene there with the assassins, where Boba kind of goes out into the public square, gets attacked by a bunch of assassins. So in this part, you'll be playing as Boba Fett, helmetless, in his armor. So this is in the future. This is in the present day, rather, where he has his armor on, he has his blaster. He's not just some helpless helpless prisoner character. And the other character you'll play as is Fennec Shand, of course, another character from the scene. And the objective here is to chase after the Nightwind assassins on the rooftops of Mos Espa. Yes, Mos Espa. I was going to say Mos Eisley, but no, it's Mos Espa that he rules over. So, considering in the scene, it was mostly just Fennec Shand who did this rooftop chase scene with these Order of the Nightwind assassins. And considering, again, like I said, there's that LEGO rule of having a co-op character to play as, you'll play as Boba Fett in this scene. And you'll be kind of running along, doing puzzles to kind of get from roof to roof to chase after these Nightwind assassins. I almost think of it like, what is that game called? LEGO City Undercover. In the first level of LEGO City Undercover, you have to basically chase after these criminals on these rooftops. That's what I'm imagining but instead it's with Boba Fett in, his helmetless and armor and stuff like that, and Fennec Shan chasing after these Nightwind assassins. Then part 3 is the ending fight, some sort of boss fight to kind of round out this level here, and that is when Boba Fett and his prisoner, we're back into a flashback here. If you didn't watch Boba Fett, this is probably really confusing to you, but there's basically, like, in the show, you go from present day to flashbacks, so you kind of go back and forth in a few episodes of the show, but you go back to a flashback in this part 3 of the episode here, and you play as Boba Fett in his prisoner outfit once again, and also a Kid Tusken Raider from the scene, as well as a massive, yeah, there it is, massive, which is like a dog thing that these Tusken Raiders own. So you'll play as these 3 characters, and the objective there is to defeat the 4-armed beast. I really didn't know what this thing was called, so I just kind of called it the 4-armed beast, because I didn't really know what this thing was called. It probably has some sort of crazy, wacky Star Wars name, but I wasn't bothered to look it up, unfortunately. I wrote these a little while ago. I made these a little while ago, like pre-Entertainment Brick Show hiatus. I made these, so, but basically in this final part of the level, you're just going to be kind of in like the dunes, the sand there, and as these 3 characters, again, Boba Fett, prisoner, Kid Tusken Raider, and the Massive, you're going to be finding ways to kind of defeat this 4-armed beast character who's, super strong, and he's punching at the sand. You have to kind of roll out of the way to dodge his attacks and stuff like that. And then you just kind of have to find some sort of, like, way to stop this beast character, basically. So yeah, there is level 1. If you're new to this, I hope you're kind of starting to get it a little bit, understand how it's going to work. So now let's move on to level 2, or episode 2 as well. My favorite episode, by the way. Next up, we have level 2, or episode 2. Again, also my favorite episode of the Book of Boba Fett, and that is the Tribes of Tatooine. So in part 1 of the Tribes of Tatooine here, we do the scene from... Oh yeah, the bar scene here. Yeah, the bar scene. So the bar scene where basically the Tuskens have realized that there's a train coming through. It's basically wiping out all the Tusken area and going to the Dune Sea, whatever the politics of the Book of Boba Fett show was. And Boba is trying to find a way to stop the train running through, and they come up with, maybe let's steal some bikes from some biker gangs. So basically, you'll play as Boba Fett in his prisoner outfit once again from level 1 here. And considering again that LEGO has this rule about co-op character play, I just include some random Tusken Raider, because mostly in this scene there was just Boba Fett, who was like the hero or the character who could actually fight off against the enemies here. But considering of that rule, I'd include some random Tusken Raider just as the secondary character, but he'll have his gaffy stick, he'll have like a blaster or something, I don't know, just to make it a little bit interesting for the co-op character to play as, if you're playing 2 people and one has Boba Fett and the other has just a Tusken Raider. I don't know, just something to fill in that spot. And the objective here is to defeat the biker gang and steal the speeders. So I'm kind of thinking this will be sort of like a 2 parts in 1 kind of thing, just to kind of make it like long enough. So I'm thinking you start off in the interior of that bar area, and again, you'll play as Boba Fett and the Tusken Raider, and you'll have a boss fight with the biker gang. So I'm thinking maybe like, I don't know exactly how this will work, but I'm thinking maybe there's like some giant health bar at the top of the screen that will basically just be like for encompassing all of the biker gang members there, whatever that biker gang was called, I actually forget, but that biker gang, it would just be like the symbol icon for like all the biker gang, and then just have a giant health bar that would just get taken down every time you defeat one of them, and that would just kind of be like the beginning part. And then the second part of this first part, this is going to make it so confusing. The second scene of the first part, maybe that's a little bit better, is where you have to steal the speeders from the bikers. So I'm thinking maybe like the speeders are all like tied up or something again along the outside of the bar area. And as Boba Fett and as this Tusken Raider character, you have to run around the exterior of the bar and find ways to get rid of like the locks on the speeders or whatever, and then you can steal them from there, and that prompts you into part 2. And part 2 is probably like the most fun part here, is the train sequence. Amazing sequence. I loved watching this. This is one of the biggest reasons why this episode, The Tribes of Tatooine, is my favorite, and that is this amazing, super cool train sequence. So again, you'll be playing as Boba Fett in his prisoner outfit, again, like with the white robe. So he'll probably have like a gaffy stick and stuff like that. Then you'll have a 3 different, actually technically 4 different Tusken Raider designs here, considering there's just, there was like 5 of them that went on the train there, so I wanted to include all of them here. So there will be a Tusken Raider with a gaffy stick, and they're all the same kind of character, but they all have different weapons to kind of make them a little bit different here. So there's a Tusken Raider with a gaffy stick. there's a Tusken Raider who is the person who trained Boba Fett. She had like black robes on and stuff like that, and she was the one, I believe it was a she or he, I don't remember exactly, who trained Boba Fett how to use a gaffy stick. And so, they would be included in this part of the level. You'll play as a Tusken Raider in a black cloak, which I believe he's the one, I think, that got shot. I believe by the pike that got shot. He didn't die, but he did get shot by that pike. So he would be included here. And then there was also another Tusken Raider who would just have a rifle to make it a little bit different here. So, considering I wanted to kind of highlight all five Tusken Raider, or all five characters that were in this scene, I had to make them a little bit different so that you weren't just playing the same character over and over again. So again, there's one Tusken Raider with a gaffy stick, one Tusken Raider who is more well versed in the gaffy stick, this training character, a Tusken Raider in a black cloak who would probably just not come with any weapons or anything like that. It'd just probably just be like a regular character who can kick and punch kind of thing. And then another Tusken Raider with a rifle, so for like long range weaponry and stuff like, or long range targets and stuff like that. And the objective here is to just run along this entire train and reach the front of it. And I know the train was kind of somewhat small from the actual episode, but I'd probably make it a tad bit bigger just to, actually make this a full-blown part in the level where you have to just jump across the different train cars, go through the train cars, whatever it is, to eventually reach the front. And then that prompts you into part 3. And part 3 is a more calm, a little bit more puzzle-oriented part of the level here, where it is the indoctrination scene, where Boba Fett is being indoctrinated into this Tusken Raider group here. So Boba Fett, instead of just playing his Boba Fett prisoner outfit, it will be him in like the black robes. He'll have the hood up, or the hood on rather. He'll have I think he had like a red strap and stuff too, from what I remember. So it would include that version of Boba Fett here. You'll also be playing as the Tusken Raider training person, who was also from the previous part. She had like a black robe on. I think she also had the red, from what I remember. So you'd play as that character. And then you also play as a Tusken Raider blacksmith character, who was shown in this part of the episode as, the person who kind of like helps the other Tusken Raiders to create the gaffy sticks. And the objective here is to actually make Boba's gaffy stick. So what I'm kind of thinking here is you'll be set in this very small little area. I think it was actually near some wreckage of a ship engine, and that's kind of how they burn it, which is very cool from what I remember the episode. And you'll be just kind of in this little area in the middle of the dunes there, and the objective is to just kind of run around and solve a few puzzles to eventually construct the gaffy stick. So you have to you have to carve the wood somehow. You have to find pieces to build like a wood carving machine, for instance. I know that's not what they did in the episode, but to kind of add some playability to this part of the level, you kind of have to make a few things up. So maybe you'd find some wood carving machine, then you have to find some metal applying machine, and then you have to burn it and stuff like that. So there's a few things you could do here with making Boba's gaffy stick in this indoctrination scene. But that is the Tribes of Tatooine episode. There you go. Next, we have the Streets of Mos Espa, which is episode 3, level 3 here. Probably the worst episode, I'd say. But, doesn't mean I'm going to skip this. Doesn't mean I'm going to skip this episode just because it's bad. So, first off, part 1 is the Water Baron scene, whatever that guy was, where you'll be playing as Boba Fett. He'll have his helmet on and everything, full-blown armor. This is in the present day sequence here. And you'll play as Fennec Shand. You'll play as, and then you'll play as 2 of the Gamorrean guards. So you'll have access to play both of the Gamorrean guard characters because, those guys are great. Who doesn't love the Gamorrean guard characters? And the objective here is to find the modders. So if you don't remember from the scene, because this wasn't a very great episode, but if you don't remember from the scene, basically there was a Water Baron guy who was complaining about these people who modded their bodies. And Boba Fett went out into the streets to go look for him and, talk to him, whatever. So the objective here is to kind of go around the streets of Mos Espa, solve a few puzzles, maybe rough up a few gangsters who are trying to steal stuff from you, and then you eventually find the modders as you kind of make your way through these streets of Mos Espa as these 4 characters. Then you find the modders, then you go to part 2 here, and part 2 is Chrysanthemum. So in this part, you'll play as Boba Fett in his back-to-tank kind of look, where, he has the, I don't know, he didn't have a shirt on. He had a goofy looking underwear thing that he had on there. So you'll play as that version of Boba Fett. You'll play as both Gamorrean guards once again, and you'll play as Drash and Scad. I know they're not fan favorite characters. I don't like them either, but they were characters in the scene, so I might as well include them as characters to play as. So you'll play as Boba Fett in his back-to-tank outfit, 2 Gamorrean guards, Drash and Scad. And the objective there is to have a boss fight with Black Chrysanthemum. So if you don't remember from the scene, basically Boba Fett wakes up from his what is it? He wakes up from his flashback. There it is, and Black Chrysanthemum like takes him out of the back of the tank, throws him around, fights him, and then everybody else kind of comes in to try and fight him. And the objective is just have a full blown boss fight with Black Chrysanthemum, considering he is the enemy in this situation. And then eventually, obviously, you get led to that throne room in Boba Fett's palace, and that's where what's her name, Fennec Shand hits the button, and Black Chrysanthemum falls into the Rancor pit and stuff like that. But again, just kind of a boss fight, just a boss fight sequence to have some action in this part of the level. Then part 3 is this very goofy chase scene, but it was all I could do. It was all I could do. What do you want me to do? Like I did my best to find anything but this chase scene to use in this level, but it was all I could find. So I'm gonna use it here. If you don't remember from the episode, basically it was a chase scene after this Major Domo character lied or something about that, about the mayor, and you'll play as Drash and Scad on their bikes as like flying around. So if you don't like, it's kind of like the pod race level from Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, where basically you had like a set path to follow. You just kind of had to guide your pod racer through that path. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. You'll have like a set path to kind of follow around, and maybe a better example would be like in Lego The Incredibles 2, there was like that whole level where you played as Elastigirl on her bike, and you kind of go through the city chasing after the train. Think of it more like that, but instead you're playing as Drash as like on his bike flying around, and also Scad flying on their bike around as well. So, and again, the objective is to chase after the Major Domo. Again, following like the set pathway, but again, also that's how you complete the objective there. And that ends level 3, episode 3. Now we got episode 4. Episode 4, The Gathering Storm, is luckily a little bit more interesting here because this is all about filling in the information from in between Mando Season 1, Episode 5 and Mando Season 2, Episode 6, I think it was. I think that's what it was. That's from what I remember. But yeah, it's kind of like filling in that stuff from those episodes, which is pretty cool. Actually, I didn't mind the Gathering Storm episode, really. So part 1 of the Gathering Storm here is the Fire Spray gunship, going after Boba's Fire Spray gunship. So you'll be playing as Boba Fett in his Tusken Raider kind of outfit. He'll have a gaffy stick, stuff like that. And you'll also be playing as Fennec Shand, helmetless, just because, that's highlighted because she didn't really wear a helmet in this episode. And the objective here is to infiltrate Jabba's palace. So the whole point of this episode, really, or most of the episode, is going to get Boba Fett's Fire Spray gunship from Jabba the Hutt's palace. And in order to do that, they had to infiltrate Jabba's palace, after mapping it out with like this little drone thing that Fennec had. So now, in this part of the level, you'll be basically kind of sneaking through the Jabba's palace as Boba and as Fennec, and you'll be fighting some of the guards. You'll be fighting probably that General Grievous-looking salad-cutting droid character, whatever that was. You'll be, maybe have like a quick like mini boss fight with him would be kind of cool, I guess. And you'll eventually make your way to the hangar of Jabba the Hutt's palace, I guess. Or I don't know if that's really the best way to describe it, but again, you just kind of run through, you go through basically the entirety of Jabba the Hutt's palace up until you reach the hangar, where that ends up prompting, that also will be included in this part. You'll also have to go through and get the Fire Spray gunship as well. So, forgot to mention, infiltrate Jabba's palace, go through the entirety of Jabba's palace, then when you reach the hangar, secure the Fire Spray gunship and leave the building, or whatever, Jabba's palace. And then that goes into part 2, which is the revenge part, where you'll be playing as a Fire Spray gunship flyer and a Fire Spray gunship shooter. So I guess in this case, it would be Boba flying the ship and Fennec like using like the blasters on it, I guess. Similar to in Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens with that one level, I think it was even level 2 of this game, where you played as Poe Dameron and Finn, and you were in the TIE Fighter, and player 1 would like control where the TIE Fighter goes, and then player 2 would like control like the blasters on it, kind of. That's what I'm thinking here, except with, just with Boba Fett's Fire Spray gunship. And the first part of this objective is to basically have a full-blown boss fight with the Sarlacc pit. So you don't remember from the episode, Boba was trying to get, I think it was his armor, right? I think he was trying to get his armor because he thought it was still within the Sarlacc pit. It wasn't, believe it or not, because the Jawas stole it and stuff like that. So he started, shooting it and destroying the Sarlacc pit. So why not turn that into a boss fight here? You fly around, you try and shoot the Sarlacc pit. The Sarlacc pit will kind of like grab you and stuff like that, and you're trying to escape and things. So basically that would be the first kind of scene in this part. And the second scene in this part is to fly over and destroy the biker gang. So there's also going to be a sequence that's kind of on like a set path where you'll basically just be chasing down this biker gang, and you'll be trying to just shoot at them and destroy a certain amount of them to move on to the next wave. Shoot a bunch of them, move on to the next wave. Just kind of doing that over and over again. And that's part 2. So part 3 of The Gathering Storm is the Trandoshan gambling scene, where you'll finally be playing as Black Chrysanthemum, a very cool Wookiee character, obviously from the Book of Boba Fett. Well, not from the Book of Boba Fett. He wasn't created for the show, but he was in it. And then you'll also be playing as Boba Fett, helmetless. Once again, just another co-op character kind of thing, considering LEGO has that rule of like co-op character play. I needed to include somebody in here, so I just decided, Boba Fett was in the scene, so just throw him in here, I guess, even though it was Black Chrysanthemum's kind of scene. But anyways, the objective here is to find every Trandoshan character in the club. I forget what that club was called from the show, but it was ran by, I'm not gonna remember either. It was, I don't remember. It was some sort of like, Rylothian? That doesn't sound right. I don't remember what they're called, because obviously I'm very much blanking here on my Star Wars knowledge, but, that club area, whatever that was called, I forget what that place was, but you'll be kind of going through that little club area, and the objective here is to kind of find all the Trandoshans. So I'm thinking on, like, the top part of the screen, there will be, like, little character icons highlighting certain Trandoshans that you have to find in the club, and then once you find them, you'll basically have to, like, hit a certain button command, and it will, destroy them or something like that. I don't know exactly how it will work, but just to kind of round out the Gathering Storm episode, that is how it ends. So there you go. Now let's move on to episode 5. Level 5 is The Mandalorian, or The Return of the Mandalorian, rather. This is obviously when, these next 2 levels are the levels, the Mando episodes, basically. Not really the Book of Boba Fett episode, so we'll kind of be taking a turn back to Mando a little bit here, but there are still some fun characters. There's some fun parts in these levels. Obviously, I would consider these more just like Mando episodes than Book of Boba episodes, so these are the Mando 2.5, season 2.5 episodes here. So, starting with level 5 again, episode 5, Return of the Mandalorian. Part 1 is this like meat locker scene, whatever that was. I don't even know what that place was, but it was gross for sure. And you play as the Mandalorian in his season 2 outfit. He has the Darksaber, he has the the Beskar spear at this point. He has his blasters and stuff like that, his knives. And then considering Mando was the only hero character in this scene, it was kind of tough to think of like another co-op character to play as. So I just said Paz Vizsla, who's that other giant Mandalorian character with like the minigun or whatever, the machine gun there. Again, it was the only reason is just because I really have no idea who I would include for this. But the objective here is to defeat all of those butcher characters. Again, I don't really know exactly what that species is called, but they seemed like butchers because it was kind of like a meat locker area, like a meat facility. I don't know, it was some sort of food facility. It's making it gross the how I'm describing it. Anyways, all these like butcher characters. I'm kind of thinking I'll just reuse what I did in, I think it was level 2. Yeah, level 2 with that biker gang thing where it'll be like all the butcher characters will be highlighted on one icon, and then there's going to be a giant health bar for as many as there are. And then, every time you defeat one, the health bar goes down. That's kind of how I'm thinking I'm going to structure this beginning scene where you have to defeat all of them. Be kind of like running through this, like, whatever, that meat facility. And you'll be just fighting a bunch of those butcher enemy characters eventually until you find the last one, kill them, and then that leads you into part 2, which is the Mandalorian covert that begins on that other planet. I forget what that planet is called, but it was really cool looking. I haven't watched Book of Boba Fett in a while. Maybe I should rewatch it, even though it's not that great. But anyways, so you'll play as the Mandalorian in his season 2 outfit again, with full-blown Beskar spear, blaster, Darksaber, whatever. And the other character you'll play as is the Armorer, which I don't think I've had that you've played as the Armorer since season 1 of the Mandalorian. In that video, in another level, whatever past level I made for that. But you'll play as the Armorer from her season 1 outfit because she didn't really change outfits. And the objective here is to have a boss fight with Paz Vizsla. So basically, if you don't know in this part of the episode, Mando goes back to the underground covert of the Mandalorians on some certain planet. I forget what it is. And then Paz Vizsla gets jealous that Mando has the Darksaber, fights him for it, and basically Paz Vizsla loses, and Mando gets to keep the Darksaber. So there's going to be a full-blown boss fight with Paz Vizsla, which I think would be kind of fun to do. But again, considering that co-op character play kind of thing that LEGO has, I kind of had to include the Armorer in here as another character to play as to fight Paz Vizsla, even though the Armorer was not really fighting, but she was in the scene. I don't know, it's kind of confusing, but that's part 2. Part 3 is the N1 Starfighter scene, basically, where you'll be playing as the Mandalorian in his Season 2 outfit. Again, same stuff that he had in the previous parts. And then you also play as Pelimato from Season 1 of The Mandalorian and that design, because she doesn't really change designs in this show much. And the objective is to build the N1 Starfighter. So this is going to be much more of a puzzle-based part of the level here to end us off, where you'll be basically kind of going around Pelimato's hangar, and you'll be looking and searching for parts to kind of build the N1 Starfighter and like reassemble it and fix it and stuff like that. So there you go. That's basically Return of the Mandalorian, and now we'll move on to Episode 6. So for Level 6, or Episode 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, Part 1 of this is Visiting the Child, the Visiting the Child scene, where you'll be playing as the Mandalorian in his Season 2 outfit. You'll be playing as Ahsoka Tano in the Mando Season 2 outfit, or that kind of like design, and you'll also be playing as R2-D2, the first time you ever play as R2-D2 in this LEGO game, basically. Like Mando and Boba combined so far. And the objective here is to walk through the bamboo forest on whatever planet that was. I forget what it was called. I don't remember if they named it. But basically, if you don't remember, Mando lands on this bamboo forestry planet where Luke is building his school and Luke is training Grogu and stuff like that. So there was basically a scene where Mando's looking to go see Grogu, but then Ahsoka kind of convinces him maybe it's a bad idea. So he ends up not doing it. But I still want to kind of translate this part into a LEGO level part where, again, you play as Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano, and R2-D2, and you'll be basically just kind of walking through the forest, completing a couple puzzles and stuff like that. There will be, like, dialogue and stuff like that between Ahsoka and Mando as you kind of go through the level here, or this part of the level, solving puzzles to eventually make your way to the spot where you can kind of see Grogu from afar, and then that obviously prompts the cutscene where Mando or Ahsoka finally convinces Mando that it's definitely not a good idea to go see Grogu because of the whole attachment thing and stuff like that. So there's basically all of that. That's basically part 1 again, just walking through the forest. Probably starting from the bench scene in that episode where Mando and Ahsoka see each other again, and then R2's there. I know R2's shut down, but why not include R2-D2 in here? It'd just be fun to play as. And then again, you walk through this bamboo forest. In part 2. This is like that less training, more remembering scene from this episode where you'll be playing as Luke Skywalker in his Season 2 Mando outfit kind of look from that part of the game here. And then you'll also be playing as the child where, he's able to like walk around and stuff. Not in the pram or anything, just able to walk around. And the objective here is to train, quote unquote, train the child. So you'll basically be going throughout this bamboo forestry planet, learning how to use the Force as the child, basically. So mostly this is a part for the child, like whoever plays as the child character, because there'll be certain prompts where you'll be able to like use the Force. You'll be able to eventually learn how to like do like a flip and double jump and stuff like that as the child character, while Luke is just kind of there to help out and stuff like that with a few puzzles. Again, this is mostly a puzzle-oriented part of the level, just trying to like make your way to different areas from the scenes of the episode where the child was trained on how to do Jedi tricks and Force tricks and flips and stuff like that. There'll probably even be a sequence in this part of the level where Luke activates that little like zapper thing that he used to train how to use a lightsaber with, and you'll have to kind of like dodge a bunch of bullets with that and like have to like force it away, and then maybe even like a small boss fight with it, like a mini boss fight with it. Who knows? But yeah, that's basically part 2. Then part 3 here is the stranger, the actual stranger that comes from the desert here. And that is where you'll play as Cobb Vanth in his Book of Boba Fett outfit, where he just kind of has no Boba Fett armor, just kind of like that red like sweater, I guess is what it was, to be honest with you. And then that deputy character who is very much a side character and very much a character that, didn't really care for. He was a little too quick with that trigger finger, I guess. And he paid the price for it for sure, but the objective here is to have a boss fight with Cad Bane from the Book of Boba Fett, that kind of design from the show. So if you don't know or don't remember, I don't know how you wouldn't remember, because this is such a cool scene, I'd say, where basically in Freetown, I think it was, from the Book of Boba Fett, where Cobb Vanth was, Sheriff Cobb Vanth, basically they saw in the far off desert, they saw a character coming and they didn't know who it was. And I remember, oh man, I remember my reaction watching this scene. It was so cool. Love to see Cad Bane. And it was Cad Bane, and he was telling Cobb Vanth and this deputy character that they needed to step away from fighting off the Pikes. And Cobb Vanth was like, yeah, all right, whatever. And then they had a stalemate, and they shot each other. Cobb Vanth got shot. The deputy got killed for sure, because Cad Bane's got a quick trigger finger for sure. So, again, basically you play as Cobb Vanth and the deputy, and we're going to turn that scene into a full-blown boss fight with Cad Bane. So I'm thinking, Cad Bane would be like flying around. I know he didn't use his boosters in the show, but he had the boosters. They were there. He would be flying around, shooting and stuff like that, and then Cobb Vanth and the deputy character will have to like find cover. And then when it's time, when like something, maybe like the energy runs out of his boots or whatever, you have to like run over and like hit him, and that will be like take away one heart from this boss fight. Then he'll fly around again. So like just a lot of like solving puzzles to kind of like get him on his feet, maybe like waiting a little bit so that he can become vulnerable, and that's eventually how you defeat Cad Bane. And then you move on to the final episode and final level. The final episode of the Book of Boba Fett here is In the Name of Honor. So in part 1 here, it's going to be like that diplomatic affairs scene where you'll be playing as Boba Fett in his helmet. He has a helmet on, full-blown armor, blaster and everything. And you'll also be playing as the Mandalorian in his Season 2 outfit. This is obviously, again, based off that diplomatic affairs scene where, like, the Major Domo was talking about maybe making a deal with the Pikes, and Boba was like, yeah, sure, we'll make a deal with the Pikes, whatever. And the objective here is to defeat the Pikes, right? So it's going to be a full-blown boss fight, again, kind of taking some inspiration, or not inspiration, but kind of taking some of the mechanics from the previous levels. For instance, in level 2, the Tribes of Tatooine, there was, like, the boss fight meter, or health bar, rather, with all of the biker gang, and then once you defeated one, the health bar would go down a little bit. Then I also reused that in the level 5, the Return of the Mandalorian with the Butchers. Again, you basically have all the Butchers to fight, and then, once you defeat one of them, the health bar goes down. This is also going to be reused in this part of the level, where with the Pikes, you'll have basically a health bar that shows all of the Pikes, and as you defeat more and more of them, the health bar, the full-blown boss health bar of all the Pikes goes down in turn. So, this is, if you don't remember from the episode, Boba and Mando basically fly out of wherever they were. They were staying in like the ruins of that club, I think it was, and they fly out and they just start blasting all these Pikes everywhere because all the Pikes are set up trying to shoot at Boba and Mando and stuff, and they're all fighting, and then everybody else kind of comes in to help out, basically, and then that prompts the rest of the episode. But this is just kind of like that scene where just Boba, just Mando are just fighting and shooting and stuff like that, all of these Pikes, basically. And that's part 1. That's part 1. Just fighting all the Pikes, basically. Then part 2 is the droidicas kind of scene, those giant droidica-looking things, I guess. And this is going to be using, for the first time in the Book of Boba Fett, part of the video game here, that LEGO Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars, change characters, change setting mechanic, where on one side, you'll be playing as the Mandalorian Season 2, Peli Motto in her Season 1 outfit, whatever, she doesn't really change, and then the child as well, in his, when he's able to walk and stuff, not in the pram. And the objective there is to escape the droidica. So what I'm thinking here is, like, maybe it would almost be like a timed sequence, sort of. Maybe not. I don't know about that. But basically what I'm thinking is that in, like, the background of this part of the level, on this side of the level, there's going to be, like, that giant droidica-looking thing that's coming closer and closer, and as Mando, the child, and Peli Motto, you have to solve a bunch of puzzles and stuff in a certain amount of time to make your way further through this part, or the town of Mos Espa, to escape this droidica character. Because in the episode, rather, they used, like, this, like, trolley, or not trolley, I don't remember what it's called exactly, but like this droid that would basically carry people and, like, roll along to escape the droidica, and eventually got shot down, and then all this stuff happened, whatever. But I'm thinking, instead of doing that, make it a little bit more of, like, a playability sequence. You'll actually have, Mando the child and Peli Motto running through Mos Espa, trying to solve puzzles and stuff to make their way forward to escape the droidica and allow for more time in between the droidica showing up and them, escaping, basically. Then on the other side of this level, you'll be playing as Drash, Scad, and Black Chrysanthemum, so mostly a lot of the side characters here, and the objective there is to have a boss fight with the droidica. So on one side, you'll be escaping the droidica, on the other side, you'll have a boss fight with the droidica. And on this side, again, playing as Drash, Scad, and Black Chrysanthemum, you'll have to basically solve a bunch of certain puzzles to knock down the droideca's shield barriers, basically, and then that eventually leaves it vulnerable for you to shoot it or attack it, whatever it is. And then, that loses a heart, then it starts up the shields again, solve another puzzle to knock down its shields, and then do the same thing over and over again until it's destroyed. Part 3, which is the final part of the final level, which is like that, this is the final kind of scene, or final fight scene, final fight to win it all kind of scene in this episode. Also utilizing the Lego Star Wars The Clone Wars character change setting mechanic, where on one side, you'll be playing as Boba Fett, helmetless, and the objective there is to have a boss fight, full-blown boss fight with Cad Bane. So you'll be in that sequence from the episode where you're in the stretch of that city, and you'll be like dodging and stuff, rolling out of the way to fight Cad Bane, and just uses his flamethrower, find a way to get up close, beat him up, whatever they did in that fight scene, whatever it was. And then on the other side, you'll be playing as the Mandalorian in a Season 2 outfit, and the objective there is to defeat the Rancor. Much more of a bigger, grander boss fight there, but basically, in the episode, if you don't remember, the Rancor kind of went nuts, kind of went crazy, and started destroying Mos Espa, and as the Mandalorian and a bunch of other characters from this series, they had to basically stop the Rancor, and the Mandalorian tried fighting it a little bit, or trying to, get it to calm down by fighting it, when in reality, Grogu was able to save it at the end. But in this part, again, you'll be playing as Mando, and you'll be basically having a boss fight with the Rancor. So 2 simultaneous boss fights in this final part to wrap up the Book of Boba Fett. So there you have it. That is another Lego Star Wars Disney Plus show ideas, or level ideas video. And again, we did The Mandalorian. This is the Book of Boba Fett ones here, all 7 episodes in one giant video. This is going to be a lot to edit, I tell you, but I'm thinking we're going to continue this. I'm going to continue with this. I don't know when the next video will be out for this series, but I am definitely thinking of keeping going with this series here. So that would mean the next show is Obi-Wan Kenobi, so that would probably be the next one there. Well, that's going to be kind of tough for the secondary characters there, huh? Or the co-op characters, because it was mostly just Obi-Wan and Leia for a lot of it, but yeah, there you go. So the next one's going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Whenever I decide to, film, record, edit that one, that will be up. But for now, this is the Book of Boba Fett one. So, yeah, there you go. Another level ideas video. So if you enjoyed that video, do the common YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.